Hey, my name is Gabby and I've been doing digital art for 2 years, and I think it's taken me a full 2 years to feel like I'm at a point where I am happy with the pieces that I'm making and I'm excited to share them. I went through a long process of trying to find my art style, which you will see in this video. I thought it might be cool to look back on what's in this iPad and kind of look at the journey. So if you are up for it, then sit on down or keep doing whatever you're doing, and let's get into it. All right, bye. All right, so let's start at the beginning, which is fall of 2020. I bought an iPad after many months of quarantine. I watched some YouTube videos on drawing digitally and I thought it looked really cool. At this point of the pandemic, I really needed a hobby that was not playing Animal Crossing for 50 hours straight, because I think my brain was starting to rot. Basically every day after work, I would walk 5 steps over to my dining room table and I would practice. At this point, I was only doing photo studies because I was just trying to get back into drawing. I had always been artistic as like a kid, but then in college, I got wrapped up in my engineering classes and my extracurriculars, my activities. I got caught up in my activities outside of school, and yeah, I basically didn't draw at all. The only form of drawing I had was bullet journaling. So in 2020, I remember this black and white Moana sketch that I did on my iPad being like my piece de resistance. Like I was like, this is it. Like this is so fun. I'm so good at this. And then I kept trying to do kind of more beyond just like replicating an image in black and white, and I was very quickly humbled. I made some very scary looking art. I started experimenting a lot with these like bug-eyed portraits. Like I was super into trying to stylize the eyes. I was doing something with it. That was partially me just seeing very stylized art that already existed and being like, I can do that also. And so it just didn't really feel like me because it wasn't mine. The next era in my art journey was making my art account. So that was early 2021, and at that point I was really inspired by a lot of art internet people such as Sam Does Arts and Ethan Becker. And yeah, I wanted to make an account just for my art so I had somewhere to post it and try to meet art people online. Also, the name of my art account was like just a total ripoff of Sam Does Arts. And I know in his videos he like calls people out for that, so I think that's funny that I did that. But yeah, in my first few posts you can see that I am experimenting a lot with my style. I have two kind of main styles at this point. I have like digital paintings where they look like paintings, and then I have more of like an illustrative look. I also at this point was doing a lot of dramatic lighting. Like I don't know if that was just a thing in the art community in 2021, and I know it's still a thing. Maybe it was just like, especially with the artists that I was following, but everyone was doing like really dramatic rim lighting on everything, so I did that too. At this point I was also doing a lot of art fundamental studies and photo studies. I was really trying to work on anatomy because I was mostly drawing portraits. I often would reference other artists' styles and try to kind of like combine a lot of art styles. So I definitely wasn't like following my intuition or anything like that. Like I was looking at stuff online and I was trying to recreate it. So in spring 2021, I would say this is when my first recognizable art style really emerges. I was doing a lot of portraits of women in this kind of like semi-realistic style. I did very, very glowy skin with a lot of dramatic lighting still, a lot of movement in the hair, like the hair was blowing all the time. I definitely had a lot of color and vibrancy in my work, which I think is still something that is true to this day and has really stuck true to my art throughout the whole journey. Also, I used a lot of unrealistic hair colors, which is something I still do now. I did a lot of draw this in your style challenges, mostly as a way to gather ideas because I was doing so many portraits, so many photo studies that it was kind of nice to break up the monotony with some draw this in your style challenges. I think it also really helped me find some art friends online and also to kind of identify like what my style is. I also hosted my first Draw This in Your Style challenge, so that was cool. So now we're hitting summer of 2021, and this is my line art era. Oh my gosh, I hit this era and I was like, ooh, I have found my art style. I did not realize though how miserable doing line art was making me. I had an art crisis basically. Don't really remember the details of the art crisis, but I wanted to do line art all of a sudden, and it made all of my art very consistent looking. Suddenly I was doing very like tight line work. I kind of eliminated the glowy light situation. I was kind of flattening my characters a lot. I started adding little doodles to my art, which is something I still do now, and it was still very colorful. So I would say it's still kind of feels like me a little bit, just a very specific version, I guess. But yeah, I was loving my art. I did a second Draw This in Your Style challenge. I was feeling super great. I was making myself make art like all the time. I was starting to make reels and focus on growth on my Instagram. And then I hit a giant art block, art hiatus, where basically for fall and winter of 2021, I did not draw like anything. Basically what happened was I started a second job. So I have a full-time job, like a 9 to 5, and then I started a dance job. I also moved and went through a breakup. So just a lot of stuff was happening that did not make me feel like making art, and that's okay. I think one of the great things though about being a art hobbyist or someone that doesn't make their living from art is that you can take a break if you need, and literally no implications. Sure, maybe you won't be growing as much on social media, or you're just not making like progress with your art skills, but I truly think that taking breaks and just living your life will develop you as a person. And at the end of the day, your art is a reflection of you as a person and all of your experiences. So living life and just not doing art for a moment, for a hot sec, is like totally cool. And I definitely did that. Once I revisited art after that hiatus, I was doing all sorts of style experiments. Like, I don't know why. I came back and I was like, I hate the line work. I'm not doing that anymore. It's not fun. I want something way cuter, and I want it to be absolutely perfect, and I want to come up with it today. Like, that was my attitude. I don't know why I was like that, but so I started off really trying to make a chibi, cute style work for me. Some of them are good. Some of them are not so good. I think overall they're cute, but like, again, I was just like selecting an art style that I saw already existed, and I was like, this is me now. In my chibi style era though, I did make one portrait that is eerily similar to how I look today, and it's not how I looked back then. Back then I had like just a bob, no bangs, and it was brown. And now I have a bob with bangs and blue hair. So tell me why me a year ago drew me now. That's kind of creepy. So after my chibi style was over, and it was very short-lived, I tried making this kind of, I don't know how to describe it. There's probably a word out there for it, but it's kind of like a lineless geometrical art style, and I was super into it. I remember feeling super into the pieces I made, but honestly I think I only made like 2 pieces in that style. And again, I went into another art hiatus where I didn't draw for a while. I really stressed myself out over finding my art style, and it just made art no fun because I would just spend hours and hours looking for inspiration, and then I would try to recreate exactly what I saw already out there, and there was really no creativity left in it. because I was just replicating instead of creating. Ultimately, I think during this period, I got so overwhelmed with the possibilities of different art styles out there that I just didn't know what to create anymore. So spring of 2022 was my art renaissance, okay? And I know that's a very dramatic term to use. So basically, I wanted to tap back into art. I missed it a lot. And I basically just went into this with zero expectations of what the final product should look like. I just wanted to make art that was fun to make, and I wanted to stop worrying about finding an art style, growing on Instagram. Like I wanted to stop doing that because it was making art no fun. So I started keeping a sketchbook, which I still do to this day. And I actually just posted a tour of that sketchbook if you want to take a look at what is inside. But doing that helped my art style so much. I highly recommend that. During this period, I started experimenting with other subject matter, not just portraits. And I think that was very helpful for me because I was in this mindset where, to me, art style just meant like, how do I draw a face? I tried to do a lot of like cute illustrative stuff because I love that kind of art. I also was doing some more environments, and then I also started using gouache, which I think did impact my digital work a little bit because I didn't know how to use the gouache very well. So in order to make the things that I wanted to make, I really had to stylize them. And I think that is another great thing that you can do if you are trying to figure out your art style, is to try using some traditional medium if you're only using digital right now. I was very into making art that you could hang on your walls. Like, I don't know why that was my thing. And I was like, people don't hang portraits on their walls. That's just not a thing. No one wants to buy portraits. It's not a thing. That, I think, was the biggest unhelpful thought that I had in my brain at this time. But yeah, that was just me being silly, I guess. Silly me. Okay, so we have reached the present day, kind of. Fall 2022 is almost over, and that's where we are now. My current style, I would say, still has limited shading on the characters, and it has some line work in the face, but it's nowhere near the amount of line work that I was doing like a year ago. I still have super bright colors, especially the hair. I love to draw people with like unnatural hair colors. I have also started to draw more animals because I love animals. So why not draw them? They're super fun to draw, and I have gotten very into drawing ducks. Yeah, and I still have some elements I think that are pretty similar piece to piece. My art process now, I am doing a lot of sketchbooking still. I think that sketchbooking has helped me find my art style so much. And I do plan on making like a separate video where I talk specifically about how I found my art style. And I have a lot of thoughts on art style, so I could make probably a few videos on that. But yeah, I think today I'm embracing the fact that I don't have a super consistent art style. Maybe everyone feels like their own art style isn't recognizable when to other people it is. So I think we all are probably just being too hard on ourselves, and we can give ourselves a break. That is basically the gist of what has happened for my art over the past 2 years. If you are all interested, I recommend that you watch my sketchbook tour because it's epic. And yeah, until next time, I hope you have a great day, and I hope you keep drawing and having fun, because that's what it's all about. Yes. Okay.